Hello everyone and welcome to Inspire Africa. I am Jerry Fisayo Bambi. On this episode we continue our series on SWEDD's project Stronger Together campaign with the theme Girls' Education and Women's Leadership. This time in Cameroon with women's rights lawyer Aisha Dumara Ngatansu Mari. And then in Mali and Guinea, where vulnerable out-of-school girls are escaping child marriage and are now having access to schools. We also speak with Dr. Jane Ngolo from the African Union. And 9 years before the 2030 deadline of the Sustainable Development Goals for girls' education and gender equality, what is the current situation in the Sahel? We find out all of this plus more. This is Inspire Africa. We start off with the story of Aisha Dumara Ngatansu Mari, a Cameroonian women's rights lawyer and head of an association promoting women's rights. Mari is also the recipient of the very first Simone Veil Prize for Gender Equality and of several awards from the UN. Well, it was not always this rosy for her. At the age of 16, she was married off by her parents, something that almost changed her dreams.
In this training center in the city of Maroua, in the far north of Cameroon, young women receive an education on the importance of schooling. Sadou is one of these women. She was married off at an early age and her husband later abandoned her and their children. Today, thanks to the Association for the Fight Against Gender Violence, she has been able to get back on her feet and has learned how to sew. The foundation that helped Sadou was set up by Aisha Damara Jamnuria, a victim of early marriage and domestic violence at the age of 16. Marrying your daughter at a very young age and by force is taking a lot of risks. Parents take too many risks. The risk that this young person cannot realize her dream, let alone blossom in the future. Because as you know, girls' education and the violence they suffer are very closely linked. And the more girls stay in school, the less they will experience early and forced marriage. Dumara's work of empowering and educating young girls have been acknowledged by traditional chiefs and local authorities, including SWEDD.
The government is also carrying out awareness-raising measures among the population to prevent violence against young girls who are now forced to stay at home. Keeping girls in school, continue their education, strengthening the quality of trainers through awareness-raising and training on the various issues of gender-based violence. All this to protect young girls and allow her to blossom in a total way.
Aisha Dumara, alongside others, is now also a beneficiary of the SWEDD project, which will help our association even more in promoting women's rights and in the fight against forced early marriages in Cameroon.
And now we head to Mali, where the accelerated girls' schooling strategy implemented by the SWEDD Mali project and in partnership with the Ministry of Education is giving a second chance to vulnerable out-of-school children. In this piece, we also hear of the story of girls' schooling in Guinea.
In Mali, early pregnancies and marriages remain among the major causes of girls' school dropout. But one project is out to change things. The SWEDD project safe spaces set up in schools and communities under the Ministry of Education welcomes out-of-school girls from 10 to 19 years old. They are subdivided into two, ages 10 to 14 years old and 15 to 19 years old, and meet once or twice a week during their school year. Not even the COVID-19 pandemic will stop them.
We have observed a very low dropout rate for girls, which was estimated at 2.5% for the year 2020. Despite the pandemic, in 75 SWEDD schools, more girls chose to go to school. There's been a certain resilience of girls in education.
Their participation in safe spaces enables them to avoid child marriages, realize their potential, and contribute to their families and communities.
Today, thanks to the center, I know how to read and write in French and in Bambara.
The project has given many things to students. The project has donated notebooks, books, bags, and even at times money to enable the girls come to school.
In neighboring Guinea, the project remains the same, keeping girls in school and ensuring their success, particularly those from rural areas.
We have to overcome these cultural barriers, this impediment, so that parents accept to put their daughters in school and that they learn something until they have a diploma.
It is the belief of many that barriers to enrolling and keeping girls in schools not only hinder women empowerment and female leadership, but it also hinder the development of the community and nation at large.
If you're just joining us, you are watching Inspire Africa with me, Jerry Fisayo Bambi. Now, to talk about the African Union's role with the SWEDD project, we have with us the AU's Head of Social Protection, Vulnerable Groups and Drug Control Division, Dr. Jen Ngolo. A warm welcome to you. Thank you very much for joining us. My first question to you is this: what added value does the AU bring to this project?
Thank you very much for that pertinent question. The African Union Commission convenes, develops policies, and coordinates policy action with member states in all, the 55. One of the cornerstones of AU Agenda 2063 is inclusive development, especially looking at issues of youth empowerment, girls and women. So by joining SWEDD, we bring these issues at the center of the African Union Commission.
Are there specific AU programs that women in the Sahel can benefit from?
Recently, I had a motivational speaker talking about, not giving people fish, but teaching them how to fish, but importantly, to give them the lake, So for me, giving girls and women the lake is education. And recently, last year, we launched something called what we call the Youth Victorious Ambassadors. The Youth Victorious Ambassadors are ambassadors that are young women working on various aspects of empowerment, including using technology and innovation to ensure that girls are retained in schools. So I'm glad that our own Center for Girls and Empowerment is part of the SWEDD project.
Dr. Ngolo, do you see this project being extended across the continent? And if so, what has been done in this regard?
Absolutely. In the department that I work for and my own division, I tackle two important aspects of women and girls empowerment. That is accelerating an end to child marriage and also an end to female genital mutilation. At the moment, there are 30 prevalent countries for child marriage and 28 for FGM. But our focus is the entire continent. If we don't address this, if it's not child marriage, if it's not FGM, it will be probably trafficking, it would probably be other forms of violence like online child sexual exploitation, name it. So our focus is continental to ensure that the rights of women and girls are upheld.
Dr. Jen Ngolo, thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you, and I do hope that this will inspire someone. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Now, girls' education and gender equality are among the key objectives of the Sustainable Development Goals SDG 4 and SDG 5, whose deadline is set for the year 2030. So where are we now, and how well is the Sahelian countries on course for this goal? Joining us to talk about this are Margaret Norris-Harrit and Cara Adamon from the World Bank, the financial partner of the SWEDD project. It's good to have you with us. So I'll start off with you, Margareta. Why are girls' education and women's leadership issues a priority for this project?
Girls
and women carry families, businesses. They are the educators of the future generations. Not investing in girls and women, including those living in the poorest communities, is huge.
So
when we invest in their health, rights and well-being, we lift the potential of the community and the entire country with support. Appropriate girls and young women in the communities around them have the potential to create stronger human capital and benefit from inclusive and marketable growth.
Interesting. And let me come to you now, Kara. We are 9 years before the set deadline of the year 2030. What is the situation in the Sahel?
First of all, it must be said that remarkable progress has been made in terms of education in Africa and in the Sahel, including for girls, especially at the elementary school level. But investment remains to be made, especially at the secondary school level. To give you an example in terms of gender parity, which remains a really important challenge. In Burkina Faso and Niger, for every 100 boys who finish secondary school, only 30 and 35 girls respectively will do the same. The SWEDD project aims to address these obstacles faced by girls in a holistic way and specifically keep 1 million girls in school in the 9 countries that are beneficiaries of the SWEDD project.
Now, one of the problems facing facing the continent in terms of education and employment is the mismatch between skills and the labor market needs. Can prioritizing the employment of girls and women bridge this gap?
Yes, indeed. The government of African countries are all planning major development programs and investment in growth industries in their countries. This calls on our government to reform the education system and, in particular, technical training to ensure that these young people have access to education and training that will enable them to have a good job or create their own business. In Chad, hundreds of women have been trained to install solar panels, enabling them to become independent, able to take care of themselves and their families, and to participate fully in the development of their country's economy.
Back to you now, Margarita. Vocational training is still underdeveloped on the continent. How does the project, the SWEDD project, help women to be trained in professional trades?
As Kara just mentioned with the example of Chad, where training can be innovative, it is not just to give the opportunity for innovative jobs that benefit the girl herself, but also a household, a family, a community, and by aggregation, the national economy. I'd like to say that this project is not the World Bank's project. It is the project of the government, the local and regional actors, and the regional institutions, but especially the beneficiary communities. It is with and through these actors that the objectives of the project will be achieved.
Thank you very much. Margarita Norris-Harrit and Kara Adamon.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Merci encore. Thanks again.
And that's it on this special episode of Inspire Africa. For more on the episode, you can go to Inspire Africa in the program section on Africanews.com. I am Jerry Fisayo Bambi, and I'm leaving you with pictures of an app from the Circle Group in Ivory Coast, which is providing digital solutions for school dropouts. I'll see you next time. Bye.
The Barkin mobile app that identifies absence of young girls in schools and school dropouts. The data is processed to understand why and then sent to authorities for remediation.